Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the webinar on economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on OIC countries. This webinar is brought to you as a result of joint cooperation between four institutions, which are the Statistical, Economic and Social Research and Training Center for Islamic Countries, SESRIC, Ostim Technical University, Istanbul University, and the Center for Middle Eastern Studies, ORSA. I would like to thank our distinguished panelists for accepting our invitation and designating time to participate in this webinar. Also, I would like to extend my deep thanks to everyone who is watching our live stream today. We are really excited about this webinar for a number of good reasons. One is the topic of the webinar, which is timely and important for our OIC member countries and the international community as a whole. The other reason is that we have been successful in assembling an outstanding panel composed of speakers who are prominent and highly respected in their fields. So we are fortunate to have the opportunity to listen to them today, to benefit from their ideas, thoughts, and insights. Also, this webinar serves as an opportunity to showcase the main findings of the report of SESRIC titled Socio-Economic Impacts of COVID-19 Pandemic in OIC member countries, Prospects and Challenges, and discuss these challenges and opportunities with a wider audience. Without further ado, I would like to proceed with the opening statements. Now, I have the honor to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Nabil Dabbour, the Director General of SESRIC, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brother Fadi. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, distinguished participants, Assalamu alaikum. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to address this webinar on economic impacts of COVID-19 pandemic in OIC member countries. We are honored at SESRIC to co-organize this webinar with the Center for Middle Eastern Studies, ORSA, and Ostim Technical University. Let me at the outset express my sincere thanks and appreciation to all the invited speakers and panelists for accepting our invitation to contribute to this webinar. I welcome you all. Dear participants, COVID-19 pandemic poses an unprecedented global health and humanitarian crisis with large-scale societal and economic disruption. The public health and safety measures taken by the government to contain the pandemic have pushed the global economy into one of the worst recessions since the Second World War. Being a substantial part of the developing world, the OIC member countries are also experiencing dramatic negative impacts of COVID-19 on their economies, especially due to the severe disruptions in the global supply chain, historic fall in oil prices, and turmoil in financial markets. The SESRIC recent report, as Mr. Fadi mentioned, on the socio-economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic in OIC member countries, prospects and challenges, shows that the pandemic is affecting all economic sectors and segments of the population across the OIC member countries. As a result of the reduced economic activities, the economies of the OIC member countries are expected to shrink by 2% this year compared to the ex-ante positive growth of 3.7%. The number of unemployed people this year is also forecasted to increase from its previously estimated level of 47.7 million to 55 million. This would have serious socio-economic implications, especially for the low and middle income member countries, which are characterized by high incidence of poverty, unemployment, and low social security coverage. The pandemic is deepening and reinforcing the pre-existing socio-economic inequalities in all societies by amplifying the vulnerabilities of some segments like women, youth, children, elderly, and persons with disabilities. As many OIC countries are already affected by the high incidence of poverty, conflict, internal displacements, and refugee crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic is expected to further exacerbate the poor socio-economic conditions for millions of people living in these countries. Dear participants, the unprecedented economic downturn caused by the pandemic requires each country to take bold actions by developing exceptional policies. The OIC member countries have so far implemented a diverse range of economic stimulus packages to counter the negative impacts of the pandemic and restore economic activities. Most of these mitigative measures include cash transfer to households and supporting business sector through tax cuts, loan deferment, and payment of salaries and rents to avoid bankruptcy and to protect employment. However, the global nature of the pandemic dictates for collective national, regional, and international responses, not only to slow down and eradicate the spread of the pandemic, but also to establish effective policies and measures to mitigate its after effects. I'm sure that this webinar will provide us the opportunity to discuss and increase our understanding about the economic impacts of COVID-19 pandemic and foster exchange of knowledge and experience among the participants to evaluate policy measures and solutions for an effective response and fast economic recovery in the OIC member countries. Before concluding, once again, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. I wish us all very productive deliberations. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Mr. Nabil, for your welcoming remarks. Now, I would like to give the floor to Professor Dr. Murad Yulek, Rector of esteemed Technical University, Ankara, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Please, Professor Yulek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brother Fadi. Thank you, Brother Nabil. I will be very brief as I will be also moderating the speakers in a few minutes. COVID contagion has been a very different experience for the whole world. It has shown that the existing structures, state structures, are not adequate in responding to a contagion, to a catastrophe like COVID. For example, in the developed economies such as England, or the US, or France, or Spain, the state has been very ineffective in responding to the health challenges. It has shown that the modern state structure, the modern economic decision-making structure, they have to be developed. To give you a simple example, in the UK, doctors have gone on strike protesting that they were not provided with adequate numbers of masks or medical equipment, etc., etc. So the developed economies have not shown a successful response to COVID. Another example, obviously, is the US, which is the country with the top number of casualties and the top number of COVID phenomena, etc. So again, the developed economies have not shown a successful performance in responding to this crisis. Of course, in the developing economies, Let's remember that the OIC countries and SESRIC member countries are mostly developing countries. Of course, they have their own challenges. In African countries, in Asian countries, there are significant problems that the societies and the countries have to respond to. And because in these countries, the social infrastructure may be stronger than in developed economies, but the physical structure or the health infrastructure, they need to be developed. Therefore, the challenge that they are facing is much more actually pronounced than in developed economies. So today, I would like to welcome SESRIC, TÜBİTAK, Istanbul University, all of these good institutions in joining forces to talk about what is happening in OIC member countries, in SESRIC member countries. So I believe that this is a very useful and very timely organization. I also thank all the speakers joining us. Professor Hasan Mandal is extremely busy, but apparently he and all our other speakers, they appreciate the importance of this webinar, so they are spending their time on this. So I wish a good webinar and a useful one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Murad Yolek, for your insightful remarks. Now, I would like to give the floor to Professor Dr. Sayın Yorgun, Dean of the Faculty of Economics at Istanbul University, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Please, Professor Yorgun, the floor is yours.
Thank you, dear colleagues, dear participants. It's a great pleasure for me to make an opening speech at this webinar. First of all, I hope we will all be safe and healthy. We are not in the same places, but we are struggling for the same purpose. The epidemic made almost all of us equal spiritually, physically, and socially at a global level. It has created a new awareness in all areas, including health, education, income, inequality, poverty, unemployment, migration, and climate crisis, and access to basic human needs. In one sense, this epidemic has nourished selfishness, individual, and reduced solidarity. It has caused isolation, medical as well as psychological problems, and pollution of information. The epidemic has taken the fear of death from the individual and spread throughout the society. On the other hand, it has increased the need for solidarity and strengthened our common sense of faith. Therefore, our need for understanding based on social cohesion has gained more importance. On that account, there is an increased need for restructuring that will prevent social disruption and panic. I have some questions under these conditions about Islamic countries' economy. My first question is capitalism suitable for Islam? It should be pointed out in Muslim societies, a liberal understanding that a capital economic system is implemented. The market dominates, competition is unlimited, and inversion is rejected, is widespread. Rather than discussing how appropriate the capitalist system is to be principle of Islam, the discussion of organization struggling against poverty and exploitation created by the non-Islamic economic system by the Muslim is a serious contradiction. My second question is there a fair income distribution in Islamic countries? Income inequality has increased among the Muslims. Poverty has become widespread. Conflicts have increased and power has been taken without elections by small groups, such as families and non-democratic leaders. My third question is, we need a new system or not? What has happened in the economic and social sphere shows that a new paradigm shift is needed. There is an increasing expectation of paradigm change to build a new economic system based on the principle that needs, wishes, and resources are limited, expected for information greater than the perception of unlimited desire that they feed insatiability. In order to survive the process of the crisis with the least damage, it is necessary to restructure industries and labor markets according to globally rising business and professions altogether in solidarity. I congratulate those who contribute to the organization of the panel. I also thank the participants. I am sure it will be a successful panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Saim Jorgen, for your welcoming remarks and for raising a couple of interesting questions, which I believe will serve as food for thought throughout the panel discussion. Last but not least, I would like to give the floor to Professor Dr. Ahmed Uysal, the President of ORSA, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Please, Professor Uysal, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Brother Fadi. It's really an honor to work with you and ORSAM and Istanbul University, Ostim University, Technical University, and Istanbul University. Also my university, Istanbul University. The problem, I mean, today we see the West is kind of declining and the East is rising. There are many talks on that. And we should, as Muslim countries, I think it is time for us to cooperate more and more, because the pandemic shows us that everybody is kind of vulnerable, and Muslim countries, OIC countries overall, there are some countries also maybe not considered Muslim majority, but they are part of the OIC. So the Muslims are everywhere and they have all resources. They have human resources, they have capital resources. So they have also, I mean, trade and other potentials to benefit from or to improve their economy and their development. And we wish that this meeting and today's meeting shed a light on this, because honestly, I believe as a sociologist, as a scholar following the developments in the region, our problem is not the lack of resources. We need willpower, we need more effort, we need more planning, we need strategy to improve our communities and help out each other. And some has capital, some has like young labor, like manpower and brain power, which is, we will talk more maybe on today with our Tubutech chair and also with the technical university. The brain power is there, but we need to explore and invest in it. And we hope that, I mean, this pandemic, corona pandemic, it gives maybe a new start, maybe push for better cooperation, better understanding. Generally, they talk about South-South trade and South-South cooperation. I think we need more, I mean, Muslim world generally is considered like South, and we need to improve this. And I think our guest today will talk about the economic and the real nature of development, which is possible. Turkey made a big progress on that, but still there is a road ahead. But I mean, I think sharing knowledge and experience will help the region with the Muslim world, and of course, this will also serve the benefit of the humankind. And again, I thank the participants plus the partners in this organization. Thank you, Fadi.
Thank you, Professor Ahmed Usal, for your kind words and your insightful remarks. Dear participants, valuable viewers, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we come to the end of the opening session. Now, I have the honor to hand over to Professor Dr. Murad Yulek, Director of Austin Technical University, to moderate the panel discussion. The floor is yours, Professor Yulek.
Thank you, Brother Fadi. I think according to our program, the first presentation is by Brother Mazhar Hussein, who is going to present the results of some of the SESRIC research. So I would like to invite Dr. Mazhar Hussein to present and talk about this research. Is Mazhar Hussein with us? I think he is not with us.
No, he is with us.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Welcome. Yes.
Thank you, Professor Yulek. Excellencies, respected participants, and dear viewers, good day to you all, and welcome to our webinar. Today, I will share with you some findings of our latest report, Socio-Economic Impacts of COVID-19 Pandemic in OIC member countries. This report investigates the potential impacts of COVID-19 pandemic on OIC member countries in various socio-economic fields and highlights the policy measures taken by the OIC member countries to address the negative impacts of this unprecedented crisis. However, at the onset, it's useful to have a quick look at the current disease burden. Can we show a presentation? It is useful to have a quick look at the current disease burden of COVID-19 in OIC member countries before dwelling into its impacts and implications for the economies of OIC member countries. We started in the middle. Okay. So, as you can see on this slide, according to the SESRIC COVID-19 pandemic database, a total of 1.8 million confirmed cases and 41,000 fatal cases have been reported in 56 OIC member countries as of 5th July 2020. On the other hand, 1.2 million affected people have been treated and recovered successfully since the first confirmed case of COVID-19 in Malaysia on 25th of January 2020. As of the 5th of July, OIC member countries as a group account for 5.7% of the global confirmed cases, 7.7% of the global fatal cases, and 19.2% of the global recovered cases. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted normal economic activity and daily life across the world. However, early evidence indicates that the social, health, and economic impacts of the virus are being borne disproportionately by the poor and disadvantaged around the globe. The OIC member countries are not immune to the wave of socio-economic shock caused by the pandemic. Like many other countries around the world, the OIC member countries have started to witness the adverse and disproportionate effects of the virus on their economies and societies. The COVID-19 outbreak affected the societies and economies of OIC countries through a number of channels, while major disruptions in the global supply chains are observed as a result of the pandemic. preventive measures to contain the outbreak have led to further interruptions in economic activities. Falling commodity prices and financial market turmoil due to growing uncertainties caused a significant fall in asset prices in stock markets, further exacerbating the economic impacts and lowering average income levels. Based on the initial data and projection on the potential impact of the COVID, I would like to share some findings with you about the major macroeconomic indicators for the OIC member countries as a group. In this slide, due to the reduced economic activities, the average GDP growth rate for the OIC region is estimated to be around -2% in 2020 as compared to the ex-ante level of 3.7%. So pre-COVID growth rate was positive 3.7%, but unfortunately due to the COVID, the projections for 2020 have been downgraded and revised. And now we are expecting that OIC member countries as a group gonna grow with a negative growth rate of -2%. On average, OIC countries are expected to be affected less severely than the developed countries, but at around the same levels when we compare it with the non-OIC developing countries. Among others, this decline can be attributed to reduction in household and business spending, disruptions in supply chain, decline in imports from affected countries, and a decline in tourism activities. We are going to look into some of these channels in coming slides. So let's start with the trade. In terms of trade flows, our report estimates that total exports of OIC countries to the world may fall between 17% to 33% due to the COVID-19 shock. But intra-OIC exports would fall 5% to 10%, which would positively affect the share of intra-OIC exports. Moreover, our findings show that the FDI flows to OIC countries may fall to below $64 billion in 2020 from $106 billion in 2019, which is in fact a much greater and stronger fall in investment flows as compared to the 2008-9 global financial crisis. There is no doubt that the COVID-19 pandemic could lead to the possible fall of tourism activity, both for leisure and business purposes, given the strict travel restrictions and social distancing measures in place across the world. In line with the global trend, OIC countries are projected to host 31 to 45 million fewer international tourists in 2020. This translates into a potential loss of 39 to 58 billion US dollars in tourism receipts. The disproportionate impact on the tourism sector, which tend to create millions of jobs and provides opportunities for some vulnerable groups, is likely to trigger the jobless and poverty rates across the OIC member countries. As you can see in this graph, globally, the number of unemployed is expected to increase by 25 million, corresponding to a 0.7% rise in global unemployment rates. In case of OIC member countries, number of unemployed persons could increase from its previously estimated level of 48 million to 55 million in 2020. On the other hand, the situation is particularly alarming in case of employment in informal sector. As the International Labour Organization predicts that due to the continued sharp decline in working hours globally, around 1.6 billion workers in the informal economy, that is nearly half of the global workforce of 3 billion, are in immediate danger of having their livelihoods destroyed. This would result in huge policy challenge for OIC governments in tackling the socio-economic problems of affected populations during the post-crisis period. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 has also worsened the prospects for hunger and food security due to decrease in both demand and supply of food and agriculture products owing to shock on inputs, logistics, and trade. On the supply side, shock on production factors like low availability and or high prices of the agriculture input has led to lower yields and decreased supply. Whereas on the demand side, a significant portion of population are unable to afford food for their daily use, and they suffer due to the loss of income they need. As a result, COVID-19, according to the FAO findings, could double the number of population experiencing severe food insecurity in OIC member countries. In numbers, it could increase from 86.7 million to around 173 million, which could be, in fact, equal to 9.6% of the total population of OIC member countries. All in all, we can say that the pandemic is deepening and reinforcing the pre-existing socioeconomic inequalities in our societies and amplifying the vulnerabilities in the social, political, and economic systems. The OIC group of member countries already disproportionately affected by poverty, conflict, internal displacement, and migration. These prevalent inequalities will become further intensified once linked with the added burden created by the pandemic. The unprecedented nature of the economic shock caused by the pandemic requires each country to take bold actions by developing exceptional policies. As you may notice on this slide, most of the OIC member countries have introduced various economic stimulus packages to mitigate the impacts of the pandemic and restore economic activities. Out of the 52 OIC member countries for which the data are available, 42 developed and implemented a form of a fiscal stimulus package to sustain and encourage essential economic activities at the first stage and all economic activities in the second stage. In terms of monetary policy intervention, 26 OIC member countries cut interest rates as a reflection of direct expansionary monetary policy to cope with liquidity restrictions stemming from the outbreak. In terms of trade policy measures, governments enacted temporary trade measures that aim to restrict exports of vital medical supplies critical to tackle the COVID-19 or to liberalize their importation by lowering import duties. In general, relatively high income member countries with better fiscal space were able to provide greater support for SMEs in the form of tax cuts or deferrals, salary payments, and other benefits to avoid bankruptcy and to protect employment. On the other hand, policies in lower income member countries focused on increasing the funds for the health sector to improve its capacity, food and other subsistence assistance to the households and local small businesses, supporting the water and electricity bill payments, and lowering and delaying tax payments for their populations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the impact of COVID-19 pandemic are not distributed evenly across OIC member countries and are not easy to account for as the pandemic is still going on at varying intensities across the OIC member countries. Nevertheless, the supply and demand shocks caused by the COVID-19 require major monetary and fiscal policy interventions to prevent a larger second wave of the shock and reduce the negative impacts on socio-economic groups and recover economic activities as early as possible. As the economic policy responses of OIC countries vary in terms of type, coverage, and target groups, such as depending on available public financial sources, number of affected citizens from the COVID-19, and health response capacities, the OIC countries need to develop and implement economic policies by using available instruments in the most effective way. Furthermore, while national policies are key to responding to the crisis, cooperation at regional and international level is also required for an effective response and recovery. With this, I would like to conclude and thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Mastar Hussein. This was an excellent presentation. I would also like to thank SESRIC for undertaking this good synthesizing report, the summary of which is that the OIC member countries are facing significant challenges, as we have already spoken. The FDI is falling down, economic activity is weakening, tourism is basically has stopped, employment rates are going up, and more importantly, the poorer member countries and poorer parts of the society are receiving a disproportionate negative impact compared to the, let's say, better off societies and better off member countries. And you have also underlined that now the decision makers in the OIC member countries are faced with designing and implementing a solid response package. Maybe one addition to the presentation could be that what is missing globally and probably within the OIC member countries is policy coordination. I could add that because I believe that policy coordination would reduce the individual burdens falling upon the member countries. Again, thank you very much, and thank you, SESRIC, for organizing and arranging this report. Now we are starting with our panel. We have three very distinguished speakers. Each of them, for the sake of effectiveness, I would suggest that we do a 15-minute presentation by each speaker. This would make it around 45 minutes, of course, a little bit more than that. Then maybe we could have a second short round of discussion for issues that, that have remained. And I think we are supposed to complete the program by 3:30, for which we have about 1 hour. Okay, the first speaker is a very distinguished scientist, and he is also the head of Turkish National Scientific and Technological Research Institute, Professor Hasan Mandal. Again, he is a very distinguished scientist, very well published, and he is well known globally as well in his field, especially of ceramics. And we share with him our profession. Both of us, we are mechanical and metallurgical engineers. So I am proud that I'm moderating him now. So Professor Mandal, I give the floor to you. I guess you would like to talk about more about the technological impact, but I am sure you will talk about other aspects as well. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so thank you, Professor Yulek, and he's also my good colleague. And I mean, dear brothers, sisters, dear ladies and gentlemen, so it's a great pleasure for me to be, act as one of the panel members. And I thank you very much for all of you for listening us, and also thank you for the organization and inviting me and my organization into this panel. So I'll shift to again my presentation to keep also my time has been set is about 15 minutes. So, okay. So I think you all seen my presentation. So I mean the main although we are more concentrate on the economical impact, but also I will now move to the topic which I am representing, the TÜBİTAK, which is the main funding agency, and also in doing the research in strategical areas so it is named of TÜBİTAK is the Turkish Scientific and Technological Research Council. And the title which I'll talk on, the co-creating for positive impact during the COVID-19 and beyond. Of course, we can talk many negativeness, but at the meantime, so this type of period of the pandemic is also giving kind of an opportunities. So how, I mean, as we've seen and observing that, as has been said, even the developing countries has difficulties and challenges. So there is a good chance for OIC countries that they use this pandemic maybe kind of an opportunity as well. So therefore, I put my heading is the co-creation for a positive impact. So looking for what does it mean? So kind of a transformation on R&D, research and development and innovation processes. So if we can get the right messages, so although most of the OIC countries are a developing country, but it is giving an opportunity to compete with the developed countries. So the number one is from a kind of a change of the ecosystem from a linear to reiterative type of innovation. So which means that it is not a linear, it's a reversible type of innovation. So we need a kind of a partnership between the knowledge creation and the knowledge user. So it's not a one direction, it is a reversible direction. And the second message is the type of a systematic challenge-driven innovation. So type of challenges. So for example, now we are challenging with the COVID-19, and this is a kind of an example, in fact. So it will, we can talk about some other challenges, but if we not deal with a kind of a systematic challenge, so systematic challenge, which means that it's a kind of a collaboration, but not limited to the disciplinary way. So which including when we are discussing with the COVID-19, so we are discussing the economical impact, but at the meantime, we should also concentrate on the social science and humanities. So these are, if we are taking as a challenge, and if we took this challenge, is including the basic science, engineering science, health science, but also including the social science and humanities. And this could be kind of an overthrown if it is dealt with carefully. And another one, I think it is a kind of our culture, which I strongly believe that we can do that. It is more than the collaboration. So we are talking about the co-creation. So co-creation is, I think, is a new wording, also not for for today my topic. Also, a kind of a discussion, at least in European side, is a big framework programs. Is Horizon 2020 is finishing at end of this year, and starting a new 7-year program is Horizon Europe, and the main strategy is the mission-oriented and doing these missions by means of the co-creation. So co-creation means using the same infrastructure and same human capacity. As I said, this is in our culture, of Islamic culture. So we have a more stronger potential if we are rightly understood and deal with this challenge. And as TÜBİTAK is the main funding agency of the research, technology development and innovation in Turkey. And also, of course, include not limited to the Turkey, also funding the projects for international collaborations. So during especially the last 2 years, we are working on a more outcome and impact oriented type of funding mechanism. And the impact, in a sense, not only limited to the economical impact. So therefore, when we are dealing with the COVID-19, of course, an economical impact is very important to deal, but at the meantime, how it is changing our social life. So the social impact, and also how it is changing with our national security. So when we are talking about the impact, in addition to the economical impact, social impact, and national security impact is our agenda. So, and the two keywords which we are dealing with, the knowledge and human resources. So knowledge creation and developing the human resources. So the most important point in both this wording, in these keywords, the qualified knowledge and qualified human resources. So these are much we need than before. So when we are talking about the knowledge creation, so it's a qualified knowledge creation. And when we are talking about, because this is also a strong point of the Islamic countries, is the human resources, but to move to the qualified human resources. And how we can do that, to knowledge creation, qualified knowledge creation, and developing the qualified human resources with impact-oriented co-creation models. And in here, you can see how we are dealing in Turkey in terms of the qualified knowledge creation. And in here, you can see the type of funding mechanism is by, instead of we are funding the projects, we are funding the platforms. This platform, either technology development or product development, and brings the universities, companies, entrepreneurs, and all relevant stakeholders. And in the right-hand side, in terms of the qualified human resources, again, we are developing a kind of a programs, university industry collaboration type of programs, industrial PhD, and also attracting the human capacity around the globe by means of the kind of a international fellowship program for outstanding researchers. All these programs in here, I don't want to go to the details, but these are all, relevant to the more a kind of a models of the co-creation. And we are experiencing. So the kind of presentations which I have already been done is more on maybe kind of a theory, but we are now practicing. So how we are using this co-creation model in with dealing with the COVID-19. So from the first day of the COVID-19, so we have been formed a COVID-19 Turkey platform, and there are 18 projects is under this platform. 8 of them the vaccine projects, and 10 of them the drug development. So, and about 46 institutions, including the universities, industry, and the government state research centers. About 270 researchers are dealing day and night and weekends on challenging with this, developing the vaccine and the drug development. So what does it mean for co-creation for us? They are using the same lab. They are using the same the animal tests. They are using the same human capacity for challenging the problem. So it is maybe, as I said, it's a challenging time, but it's also giving an opportunity for all of us to deal with. Otherwise, to developing a drug in a short time or developing a vaccine in a short time, nearly impossible, especially if you are starting late. So therefore, we are strongly, confident that the co-creation model is at least in this pandemic period is working. And in addition to improve our human capacity, so there are 300 young scholars, including the undergraduate, master, PhD, and postdoctoral. They have been also included in this research program, in this co-creation platform. And also about 35 projects has been funded for the diagnostic kits and diagnostic systems for the SMEs. And I am very pleased to inform that also we are not only dealing with the engineering and the science part, also in the other side is the COVID-19 and society, exactly type of a topic which we are discussing for today, and is the social, human, and economical impacts of the pandemic. So, and it's fortunately, we have been received nearly 700 applications and nearly 100 of them funded. Okay, so it's not limited to this concept is also including in the right bottom part is including the entrepreneurs into the system. About 30 business plans for young entrepreneurs dealing with the pandemic has been included. So if you see the all table in here, from dealing with the disciplines from basic science, engineering science, health science, social science, and humanities, they're all included. And in terms of the human capacity, from entrepreneurs to the young fellows, the professionals, the academic staff, they all have been involved. And in terms of the institutions, university, industry, and public institutions, they all in the same table. So this is what we are saying is challenging with the with the co-creation model. And our President Erdogan has been mentioned this co-creation model in 4th of June, there was a global vaccine summit, and he has been, joined to this meeting and explain what we are doing in Turkey and how we are. So this is our model for developing the drug and also the vaccine. And in here you can see we are working 8 different vaccines in here, and hopefully you will, all the global arena will hear within this month. So we will now finishing the animal test, and we will come to the human test very shortly. So, but again, how we are able to manage by means of this co-creation. And again, another example, a kind of a success story in Turkey, how the technology can help, especially in this pandemic time, again by co-creation model. So there's a project is funded by us in some years ago and finished in 2015, I guess. And it's a kind of a prototype, but in this pandemic period, so this equipment, for the breath, so you cannot import it, even you want to pay it, and even well-known countries like in the US, they have no kind of a facility. So Turkey, all the relevant parties come together. So you can see on this table, and produced in 15 days from this prototype to the serial production, and send it to all over the world. So this is also showing that how we can work together and succeed together. And in here again, you can see on this special call about, as I said, 700 applications received and 100 of them funded on the impact of the COVID-19 on social and human, and on economical, what we are discussing as well, and also process management and resource planning. And also dealing with this, because I have been read also the SESRIC report. So also dealing with this issue, not in only short time. Okay, of course we are dealing more short time, but also looking forward to more medium and long term projections as well. And in here, when we are dealing with the issue on these projects, dealing with all subject areas. So this is a kind of in second slide, if you remember, systematic challenge-driven type of innovation. So this is it is really a kind of an example dealing with the COVID-19. And what is next? So what is next in Turkey from the Turkish perspective? So our president again addressed 5 areas. What will be our challenges for after the COVID-19? So these are the food supply security, so food security, biosecurity, and cybersecurity. So these are the new, strong topics will be in our agenda. I guess, not only for Turkey, I guess in globally. And now we have all, as TÜBİTAK, we are working on them. What can we do? What is our capacity and how we can go forward? And in addition, also in medical equipment side and drugs and vaccines, so we have already been capacity, but we need to be increased and speed up to our capacity. So these 5 areas, 3 of them will be more on focused areas for the future, and another 2, okay, already been our agenda, but we need to be speed up. And how we can manage, again, by, you can see in the left-hand side, again, by co-creation model. And again, when we look for from the SESRIC report and how it is dealing, yes, indeed. So these are the type of topics, indeed, we need to be taken in consideration, and not only in a short time period. Also, we look for what are the type of strategies for the medium and the long term. And of course, we can make an alignment, and I know that SESRIC is doing a very good alignment with the UN SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So, these are in a sense that the pandemic is giving a kind of a challenge, but also at the meantime opportunity for a 2030 agenda. It took taken much earlier. 10 years earlier, we are testing how much we are ready for SDGs. And also another good initiative I want to mention, is in, in end of the year 2019, there was a KL summit in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and at least 4 countries, including Turkey, Indonesia, Pakistan, and Malaysia, and come together and to work on the type of challenges which we are, talking for today. And so how we can use the technology, how we can use the technology for result-oriented policy solutions, and also how we can solve the problems not for today, not for short-term, also medium and long-term periods. So this is also not for our agenda. So agenda for globally. So you can see for the World Economic Forum for 2025 agenda. So if you look for the subjects, so you can see that most of them also relevant what the SESRIC is doing and what I am mentioning in here. So in a sense, there is a global challenges and also the global type of perspective, but how we will deal with problems. So again, as I mentioned with the co-creation, and finally I'll finish with, so we can shape the solutions of the future with the impact-oriented processes, whatever the type of challenge we will come across. This could be a sustainable environment with still like in health and well-being, digital transformation, and advanced manufacturing. So whatever the topic has been taken, so there is a great challenge, these are the challenges, but also a great opportunity. So if we do a kind of a way of collaboration, in a way of the co-creation, so I'll finally finish with my topic, saying that we need a future of co-creation to achieve the healthier, sustainable future. So thank you very much for your attention and interest.
Thank you, Professor Mandal. This was a very loaded presentation. So you have mentioned basically that the governments like TÜBİTAK, governmental institutions and research institutions, we could turn this crisis or challenge into opportunities, which I think, at least in the case of Turkey, this helped us in developing some new equipment, some new technologies, as you have demonstrated. And you have also underlined that in the case of TÜBİTAK, TÜBİTAK is becoming more target-oriented, impact-oriented. Therefore, the resources that scientific funding agencies are spending will create more economic and social impact compared to before. So this, I think, could be a good learning experience for all the OIC member countries, and they could benefit from TÜBİTAK's experience, as well as Turkey's experience. Thank you very much. So the second speaker is again from Turkey, Professor Erdal Tanas Karagöl, who is a good friend of mine. He's a macroeconomist, and he's also involved in the energy sector. He will talk about more on the energy impact and macro impact of COVID. As a way of brief introduction, Professor Karagöl is a well-known macroeconomist. He was educated in the US, in the universities of Connecticut and in England, in York University. And then currently, he is a researcher and head of department at Ankara Yıldırım Beyazıt University. He's a very well-published economist. And now I give the floor to him. Please, Professor Karagöl.
Thank you, Professor Murat Yölek, dear distinguished guests and speakers. And I'm just give a brief information about let's say the effect of the COVID on the global economy and OIC countries, and also just a little bit give information about OIC countries which has energy resources. And coronavirus has caused lockdowns, the supply and demand shock, economic downturns, unemployment, decrease in oil prices, and also we have uncertainty. We don't know what is the next. We have another pandemic or not. That's why we have uncertainty, and this uncertainty affect the economic expectation, affect the economic growth of the all country, global economy, OIC countries, and the specific countries. And when we look at this table, this shows the IMF economic growth projection, and world output is decreasing, and emerging countries have low economic growth, even negative economic growth. And when we compare, let's say, the advanced economics and emerging countries, this means that the advanced countries has dramatically they have a low GDP economic growth. According to IMF World Economic Outlook projection, the world economy is expected to contract approximately by 5% in 2020, and output in much of the advanced economies is expected to decline more than 10% in 2020. Although the negative growth rate seems to lower in emerging economies, they are also expected to experience economic downturn. And when we compare the confirmed case in OIC country and the world, we see that the confirmed case has more than 1 million in OIC countries. And however, when compared the compared case in OIC countries with those non-OIC countries, it seems that OIC countries are below than the world average. And when we look at the economic projection of selected OIC members, and we again, some of the OIC members countries expected to experience negative growth rates. This is greater than 5%, and output is expected to decline less than 1%, let's say in Indonesia and Pakistan. Egypt is expected to experience a positive economic growth, but when we compare with advanced countries, the OIC countries, maybe is that the decrease in the economic growth is compared to advanced countries is low, but we see that all countries have low or negative economic growth. And when we take, let's say, OIC countries, and many of the OIC countries, some of them are oil-rich countries because they heavily they are on oil export revenues from oil and natural gas, and they meet the world energy demand and earn export revenues. And that's why we say that the oil price volatility, especially the fall of the oil price, will affect these countries significantly and negatively. And the fall of the oil price make OIC countries more fragile economies. And when we look at the challenge during the pandemic, due to the experience to the fall of the revenue, expenditures, investment, and the trade, and because of the decrease in the production or revenue, and this raises some question about the food security, the uncertainty, and increase the poverty. And also we know that this country really, they have weak health systems and weak social policy, and also they have political and economic instability. And when we look at this title, really these titles are really important, and those are related economic performance related to the economic growth, GDP or GDP per capita. That's why this pandemic of COVID-19 is really big risk for the OIC countries, especially, let's say, for the countries in Asia, in Africa, in poor countries. And the poverty is an important topic, and there is likely to be more poverty. It is likely to be more severe, and it's likely to increase dramatically in Asia, in Africa. And this means that this economic performance, or does the low GDP growth rate, high external debt, and high budget deficit in countries, in, let's say, in Africa, this move to people into poverty line. And in order to talk about the measure, in order to tackle with this pandemic, and all countries use, let's say, fiscal policy, monetary policy, the subsidizing firms, and increase cash transfer, and increase the transfer expenditures. But when we compare the advanced countries and those poor countries, let's say, to increase, to give people in order to reduce the risk or mitigation the risk. And maybe the country use monetary policy is providing liquidity for financial system, but only we expect from the, let's say, the international organization in order to give money to these countries, and unemployment compensation about the budget conditions. And also many of the OIC member countries are energy-rich countries. They are highly dependent on energy revenues. And these countries, you know, all times they talk about how to diversify their economy, but still they are heavily dependent on the energy resources. And when economic growth decrease, when we have a low GDP growth rate, this means that this will decrease the price of the oil and decrease the price of the natural gas, and these countries face some difficulties, financial crisis, economic crisis, and maybe social problems in those countries. And that's why especially this OIC countries should strengthen their health system, allocate resources as a social aid, as a social service, in order to reduce the social risk in societies and increase the domestic production to provide food security and collaboration to reduce the adverse effects of the foreign demand. And I want to ask, or I want to raise some question about, let's say, OIC in order to, to reduce the effect of the COVID-19 in OIC countries or Muslim work, because we say that we know that there are many many international organizations like IMF, World Bank, and others. But these organizations really they just collapsed. You know, the expectation of the people is not are not met, and that's why the organization like OIC is important to reduce the effect of the COVID-19 in the Muslim world, and this organization should be responsible for the emergency case like COVID-19. And also we have raised some question: what is the role of the OIC about food security? Because we know that OIC do too many things for the OIC countries, but the food security, we just realized how this important. And also there is a high poverty rate in OIC country. What is the role of the OIC? What OIC should do in order to reduce the poverty or mitigate the social risk? And also how the OIC make strong the health systems of the OIC members, and the social policy is really does not work, and there is not enough money when we cannot compare the social policy of the OIC countries and let's say country like European countries and other countries. And also the social policy is getting importance in order to reduce the social risk or this emergency case like the COVID-19. And what is the role of the OIC for the political and economic stability in OIC countries? This question that are really important, and we have an expectation from the OIC in the Muslim world in the, let's say, in the future in order to tackle this emergency cases and incidences. I really thank you for this invitation.
Thank you, Professor Karagöl. So you have underlined again the challenges that the OIC member countries are facing, and especially poverty situation is unproportionately getting worse, which is a very significant challenge. And of course, the OIC member countries, there are a lot of constituency in Africa and in Asia, so the challenge is even bigger than the other international organizations. Now we are left with our last speaker, Professor Habib Kebir, who is an electrical and electronics professor at Islamic University Technology. Austin Technical University has made a cooperation agreement with IUT. I signed that agreement personally last, I think it was October. So it is our cooperating institution. And I would like to also send my regards to the rector from here, the Vice Chancellor. Professor Habib Kebir is a very successful engineering researcher. He has made his studies in Japan, and therefore he is very well versed with the situation in East Asia, now being in Bangladesh, East and South Asia, let me say. His topics, research topics, are more concentrated in energy behavioral and ambient changes in energy, artificial intelligence. So he's a technologist. I think he's going to talk more again about the technological aspects in addition to economic aspects, I would guess. Professor Kebir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ulek. Yes, I could easily remember the last year, October, the MOU between the University of and IUT, and we are really thankful for that. And for today, His Excellency, all other participants, then the panelists, I like to take the opportunity to express my heartwarm appreciation for giving the opportunity to represent Bangladesh, as well as the Islamic University of Technology, as well as the Institute of Energy and Environment, to focus something, because like other countries, Bangladesh is a developed country, but we are facing the same kind of trouble with this kind of pandemic. So today, actually, I'm taking the opportunity to talk about. I'm sharing my screen. I think that you can see the screen. So today, I'll like to talk about. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, it is on the screen now.
Okay, thank you. So today I'd like to talk about the challenges of the energy sector within the COVID-19 crisis with the Bangladesh perspective. And I would like to talk about the impact, then the mitigation measures, then post-COVID strategy, restoring the growth on energy sector, because as a technical person and from the Energy and Environmental Institute, I feel that after the food security and health security, we like to have the energy security as well for the economic growth, because all the industries are now depend upon the energy sector and the power sector. So let's have a look with our COVID situation of Bangladesh, because like other countries, we have the similar kind of like impact. Already you have 160 million peoples are confirmed, and already 2000s are dead, but we have a huge impact. And from the March, actually the government has to take the lockdown strategy. And I have also given the some like a graph related to our Southeast Asia, beside the OIC countries, we have the India, then the Malaysia, Thailand, and among them Bangladesh. The pandemic crisis of Bangladesh is really crucial. So if you think about the government action, because the government took the quick action with the lockdown, with some of the district level, also the sub-district levels, and now we are in the phase number 6 with a zone-wise lockdown, because first time it was lockdown totally with the district, but afterwards there was a dilemma that whether we have to continue with the lives or livelihood, because these two are related, and because of that the peoples cannot, because they are losing their jobs and other things. So because of that, we have to little bit relax the lockdown, and now the lockdown is with some zones. So afterwards, if you are thinking about Bangladesh, because it's a developing country, we are looking forward for a mid-developed country or developed country in 2041. But Bangladesh is a disaster-prone country, and every year it has some flood, also, as well as it has the cyclone. Even in this year during the COVID, we have the Amplan, that the cyclone. But everywhere the people and the Bangladesh can overcome those kind of natural disaster easily, because the people are can united together and work together. However, during the COVID-19, that scenario is a little bit different, because people cannot united and work together. They are now separated, and because of that, we have the new COVID, the new normal things. So we have to adopt with the new normal, and this was also impact on the energy and power sector of our country as well, because most of the energies are now distributed in a other way because of the lockdown, and lack of manpower are also there, and most of the power generations are generated by imported fuel. Also, we have a huge ongoing projects. So actually the COVID lockdown actually impact on those projects as well. So let me talk about, this is our actually the power company and overview of the power sectors. Then this is a Bangladesh, this is a Dhaka, the capital, and we have also imported some of the electricity from outside as well. So all of them are now like under some crisis scenario. But the thing is, most of the cases, like the Bangladesh, as I told you, that we are now in a developing country, but we targeted with the help of like OIC, IDB, as well as the following the SDGs, we are planning to be a like mid-income country as well as the developed country around 2041. And with that, even in the power sector, we have the power system master plan 2041. We have established that one and from 2010, also from 2016 we have the revised one. And with the like the power system master plan was established with the economic growth, like with the 3E: energy security and environmental protection. So we are thinking about a huge production and master plan. But due to this pandemic situation, actually most of the projects are under some impact. Okay, so the effects are also there. So if you can think about the projection from the 2010 to 2041, we are going very well. In between 2014 to 2018, we have little bit of lack, but however afterwards now we are closing enough with our projection. But due to this pandemic, the projects and other things are delayed, and we are little bit facing little bit of trouble. So this is a public-private sector, the power import, and as well as the sector-wise generation, because we are also importing some power from other country as well. So this is a projection, as I told you, that the industrial, residential, commercial, service, then agriculture and non-energy uses. So we are projecting the energy use for the consumptions. So this is the energy projections of up to 2040. So we are thinking about to get more natural gas and the coal, which like in Bangladesh we are like we have the mine of the natural gas and the coal, so we want to utilize those things. So these are the projection from the 2015 to 2040, 41, the how we'll make the power plants. So we will establish more coal-based power plants, as well as the like gas power plants, because we are more like strong on that. Also we are we have already started the nuclear power plant establishment, and hopefully it will be started on 2024. And beside, we are also importing some of the power from the neighboring countries, so even from Bhutan, Nepal, and India. So these are the project actually. And beside, we are also focusing on the renewable energy. But the thing is that, as I mentioned earlier, that Bangladesh is an overpopulated country, 11th in the whole world, and because of that, the land is very small in our country. So we don't have that much land to establish the solar power plant. So rather than, we are focusing on the rooftop solar plant. So because of that, we are focusing only on 15% of the whole like renewable energy, and these are the like carbon emissions things. So these are the 2040 projections. So but with that projection, everything are going very smoothly till January 2020. But whenever the January 2020 came, the COVID effect impact, and whenever the lockdown imposed on March, everything was little bit changed. So we can see the total daily generation during the COVID period. That means the January, February, March, April, May, June of 2020. And I compare with this data with the 2019, and we can see that the generation does not have that much like impact, because the industry are now closed, but the residential area, because people are now moved to their villages and their cities, so the residential areas, the generations are still moving on. So still the generation is going on exactly like the last years, but the impacts are on the project. As I told you that we have huge number of projects going on with the help of JICA, IDB, ADB. So in 2019, we are taking around 74 projects of the very mega power plants, which should be finished within 2027. But because of this kind of pandemic, actually all the impact are on those projects. So I would like to discuss a summary about that, how the challenges of the energy sector within the Bangladesh, how the impact mitigation post-COVID and restoring can be happen. So the impact can be within the existing system or within the project. So in the existing system, we have the technical and financial, and in the technical we have the operation and maintenance, as well as in the mitigation we have to think about the existing system mitigation and the project mitigation. Then I'll talk about the post-COVID strategy. Also I'll talk about the restoring the economic growth. So I'll go a little bit faster. So in the impact in the operation and maintenance, exactly we can see that the generation loss of the power because of the shortage of the fuel, because all the fuels are important, and because of the lockdown of the airport we cannot get the fuel. So also we have the limited operation stop, and they are now working in the ship basis during the COVID. Degradation of the power delivery quality due to the quick remedy action because of the low manpower. Degradation of the moral mentality strength of the long time stuck, because now the power station, the peoples are working in a shift basis, like a 15 days shift basis. Because of that, the moral things are also going down. Lack of foreign expert and consultant for operation training new project, because most of the projects are new and huge number of projects are going on, and because of that the foreigners are now left the country because of the pandemic situation. Serious threat in the management of the power station because of the demand side management. So the peoples are now moving from industrial area to the residential area. So also the many power may shut down, power station may shut down. Threats in distribution and power station grid, because the residential areas, the consumer are demanding more quality power, because no load shedding, other things. So also in the maintenance, the lack of procurement and spares or accessories. Also the human resources, drop down of daily routine breakdown, periodic maintenance works are there. So due to a lack of timely operation and maintenance work, the the system's loss is life, and because of that risks of expenditure also increases. That means here also we will have the economic impact, so if the maintenance is not there. So if you think about the existing financial case, so the layoff, that we have to lay off so many worker, so layoff will also increase the raise in the operation and maintenance cost. This is one kind of impact on the economy as well. Also the government quickly take the strategy to reduce the penalty for the 3 months billing of the electricity, and with that 3-month electricity reduction, the impact of the power company, they didn't get the huge amount of revenue. I can show two data during this January, February, March, April, May, and June. So this is Chittagong, one of our biggest industrial area. So this is the urban area. So during the January, February, we have a huge amount of collection ratio of the revenue. It is more than 100%, because the due bill was added. The previous month due bill was added, but after pandemic, after the lockdown, all the collection is very small, it's reduced. Even in the remote area, so the impact is severe. That means the revenue from the consumer, because they cannot pay the bill and other things, even the government reduce the penalty. So this is huge impact on the power sector as well. And we know that if the power is not going on, the industry will not going on, and our economy will not going on. As I told you before, that life versus the livelihood is there, the dilemma. So next one is a delay in decision making, sometimes is also reflects, and the high impact on global energy market, because all our coal plants up to 2025 is imported coal, and coal cost is increased globally. So its impact, and the power price may increase to adjust the losses during this corona period, and that time maybe that will impact on the consumer as well. So next one is on the project, because the impact on the execution of the project is that site progress works are shut down, lack of local and foreign manpower, project procurement is shut down, project consultants cannot finish their work, then environment and social negative impact become longer and benefits go far away. So this is the execution, and the financial is the increased interest rate of the foreign aid, because we are taking the fund from the other like the IDB, ADB. So delay in time means increase in material cost as well. Then the payment for consultants without proper work, if the work is not package basis, so this is also impact. So delay of the project will cause increase in the product price, mitigate all losses, like this is also impact on the consumer. So all the things are impact on the consumer. So in the mitigation, we can have the running all the establishment is least cost basis, performing maintenance with low manpower, foreign expert, those who are not allowed to go leave the country, they can start working. So we can do some reduce some bureaucratic steps to timely sign the contract, shipment, material, and then manpower. So this can be some mitigation. Announcement reward to the employee because of the mental health. So if anyone is affected and die by the COVID-19, it can encourage the energy sector people. So in the project, the all design drawing can be done online. So during this lockdown, then possible contact sign, documentation, document survey, distance consultation work can be do easily with this like a Zoom or any kind of online discussion. Then the securing maximum local support, so that we can easily do all the things in a shortest recovery way. So in the post-COVID strategy, so we have to work really hard, because we have a plan up to 2041. So to recover all the things within 1.5 years, we have to do very quick things. Then we are now running some quick rental basis private like power station, which are really money hungry, like power station. Those things should be stopped. Then we can use some coal based large power plant. So with the pricing issue, strengthen the local technical staff for the sufficient mode, and reduce the foreign training, so that we can reduce anything within this time. Sourcing new conventional or non-conventional source of funding, we need the fund. Reduce the policy readiness to interest the private investment. We need the more investment from the private, because we need the money for the going on the the project. So start negotiation with the donor agency like the IDB, ADB for reducing the interest of the foreign aided fund. Then the develop proper operation and maintenance schedule for maximum. Then power generation. Then categorize ongoing project on the important basis. So we have to revise all the important things. Then prioritize the rooftop solar panel, because you know that Bangladesh is one of the top deployed solar home system in the world. So in the last slide, this is my last slide. As I told you that this is a effect of the COVID-19. So we have to adopt the new normal of the COVID-19, and with that we have to restore the economic growth by revising the power system master plan after post-COVID. So we have a revision in the 2021. So we have to go with that. Then the extract coal from local mines, because we are planning this one after 2025, but we can start this one as an immediate basis. Then increase the power import after analyzing the market, because we can power import from the neighboring country if the cost is the challenging, not challenging. So identify the possible source of local like coal and LNG purchases. So we can have those kind of power stations. So the last like line from me is the successful plan for no increase on power price and uninterrupted power for all would maintain the expected economic growth. So at last, I can say that we have to adopt the new normal of the COVID-19. We have to work hard. We have to recover all the things, whatever damage is happening all over the world. So I would like to ask everyone that create ambient energy network, because I am an engineer of the energy networking. So save energy and save the environment. And in this COVID-19, I would request all of you to stay home, stay safe, and may Allah protect us all, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Hasan Kebir. This was a very comprehensive presentation. Bangladesh is getting industrialized and it is needing a lot of energy. Therefore, you concentrated on the energy aspects. Now, what I would like to do, because we actually ran out of time, I would like to ask each speaker, including Mazhar Hussein, if they would like to add a recap of about 1 minute, things that they could not maybe deliver at the time, or things that came to their mind later. So please, let's start with Mazhar Hussein. Would you like to add any final comments today? No, Brother Mazhar, you need to turn on the mic. Yes, now, yeah.
Yes, Professor Yulek, thank you for this opportunity. I do not have anything to add. However, I would like to inform the participants that our report is available online on our website, www.sesric.org, and they can download and benefit from the findings, and also inform us about their views and opinion about the report and study. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was an excellent presentation, so we can download it from the website. Professor Mandal, would you like to add any any final comments? In particular, maybe you could mention about how further TÜBİTAK can cooperate with member countries, counterpart institutions in member countries.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Yulek. So, I have all said, but again, what you are saying, that I think one of the important final message is, we should do an action, and as TÜBİTAK, we are ready, to collaborate either bilaterally or multilaterally. And of course, we are prefer to act with multilaterally with OIC countries, and at any time specific, meeting, virtual meeting again, webinar on specifically how we can able to deal with a kind of challenge with the collaboration, and more than the collaboration, with a co-creation method. So we are ready as TÜBİTAK.
Thank you very much. So I presume SESRIC will pass this invitation to cooperate to member countries. Professor Erdal Karagöl, would you like to add any final comments? Professor Karagöl, you need to turn on the mic.
Yeah, I want to highlight again, the COVID-19 shows that the international organization really does not work. Even the advanced countries collapse. And we know that the OIC countries have a serious problem. And this pandemic of COVID-19 should motivate OIC in order to take responsibility, reduce the poverty in OIC countries, make strong health system of these countries, provide food security, increase infrastructure investment, and we know that we should believe that this problems of OIC countries solved by the OIC countries or countries organization. Thank you.
Thank you. And actually, you reminded me that as the even advanced countries has been challenged and they collapsed with your words, Turkey has sent some technical assistance to different countries, including the UK and the US, and of course to the Islamic countries as well. So cooperation among different countries at this time of such a catastrophe is very important. Thank you very much. So Professor Habib Kebir, yeah, your final comments.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. Actually, I really like the co-creation concept of Professor Hassan Mandal and the approach of the TB Tech. And the thing is that with IoT and Energy Center, actually we are also we have worked with Comstech, and we work with also the energy sector of TB Tech. And last year, our acting vice chancellor, Professor like Dr. Omar Jah, he also visited the TB Tech. So it will be very as a developing country of Bangladesh, also IoT as a subsidiary organ of OIC, we are looking forward the co-creation partner of you, and we would like to be a part of it, because this is a fantastic idea. And as a country like developing country like us and progressing country like us, we are here ready to progress, and we have already started our journey with the TB Tech even last year. So we are looking forward to it. And really thank you to all the panelists for this beautiful and very important topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Kebir. I would like to thank all the speakers, the keynote speakers, the inaugural speakers. I think today we had a very efficient webinar with a lot of material that was presented. And I guess that this webinar is recorded, so it will be broadcasted from SESRIC's YouTube channel. We can also put it on our own channel. Again, thank you very much. And I now turn it to SESRIC to close the webinar.
Thank you, Professor Murad Yolek, for doing an outstanding job in moderating today's discussion. As SESRIC, we would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners in this webinar, the Center for Middle Eastern Studies, Austin Technical University, and Istanbul University. Also, we want to take this opportunity to extend our deep appreciation to the panelists and to the speakers. Professor Hassan Mandal from TB Tech, Professor Dr. Erdal, and Professor Habib Kebir. Thank you for your participation today, for the ideas and the insights which I found, and I am sure the viewers found very valuable and very mind enriching. Also, thanks for all the viewers who are watching our live stream today. I hope that they have enjoyed this webinar. With this, I would like to close this webinar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I wish safety and happiness to all of you and to your families. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you.